Well, I wanted to extend a very sincere thank you on behalf of the Free Market Foundation and the Khaya Lam Project and the many dozens of people and institutions that have been involved in this project. I want to extend that thank you to the FW de Klerk Foundation. Elisa, thank you very much. Christo, we wish you all the best in your new role. There's a big challenge, but I'm convinced that you're the right man for the job. And to Dave Stewart as well. I think you leave a proud institutional legacy at the FW de Klerk Foundation. And speaking of legacy, I think it's very fitting as we sit here on the anniversary of FW de Klerk's significant announcement that we also reflect on his role that he played in the Khaya Lam Project, albeit indirectly. As Vladimir Lenin once wrote, there are decades where nothing happens, and then there are weeks when decades happen. I'm not often quoting communists, but I think it's a very appropriate quote. And that first week of February 1990 certainly triggered a significant series of events that I think we're still living with today. And perhaps, as we've suggested, we're on the cusp of more great significant changes in South Africa. But I referred to President de Klerk's legacy, and one of those legacies was the passing of the Upgrading of Land Tenure Act in 1991, which essentially divested the state of its ownership of many of these council-owned properties. So our job as the Khaya Lam Project, several decades later, we saw an opportunity there to finish the job, to formalize the ownership status of many of the people who once resided as tenants of the state, and now to fully realize their private property rights and their ownership over the homes in which they'd lived, sometimes for generations. So as I mentioned in the video, the economic benefits of private property are numerous. And I think it was very important and significant that last year in July, the FW de Klerk Foundation hosted a private property rights for all South Africans conference, which was attended by several of the delegates here today, which really underscored the importance of private property as a building block for economic prosperity. And a notable speaker there was Hernando de Soto, the Peruvian Nobel Prize-winning economist, who said, not at the conference, but in his book, The Mystery of Capital, quote, "Without an integrated formal property system, a modern market economy is inconceivable," end quote. But also very telling at that same conference was a representation, a video talk by Fernando Espirito from Venezuela, who spoke about the tragedy of the situation in that country in which private property rights were systematically abrogated and eroded, and what he called an illiberal democracy. So private property rights are inseparable from civil and political rights. And they're not something that we can bestow on anyone. They are inalienable. They are fundamental to your right as a human being. So it's not necessarily merely a policy choice. It's a recognition of your fundamental dignity as an individual. So I am receiving this award, but I myself individually played a very small role in the Khaya Lam Project. I've been CEO of the Free Market Foundation since January of 2023. And I really do stand on the shoulders of giants. And one of those giants was the late Perry Feldman, who was not a policy analyst or an expert in these matters, but he was a farmer, and he recognized the importance of extending ownership to ordinary South Africans who had been deprived of that ownership right. And he was one of the individuals, together with several others, who really drove that project in its genesis in 2010 to 2013. And so I just want to acknowledge him posthumously for his incredible contribution to that. And then more presently, I'd like to extend thanks to Terry Markman, who currently manages the project. He has incredible energy and commitment to this initiative. Sol and Lorna Sachs in Parys, which is really the epicenter of the Khaya Lam project. Dot Corrigan as well, who provides administrative support. We also want to particularly extend thanks to the many sponsors who have, without their financial commitment, this project would not have been possible, particularly Johan Rupert and his Reinet Foundation, and Remgro more broadly has been a fantastic partner in this initiative. First National Bank deserves particular thanks for instigating us to initiate the first pilot project back in 2013, where the first 100 title deeds were handed out. But other financial institutions such as Capitec, Absa, Standard Bank, and IPIC have all played a role. And then, of course, the municipalities, too many to mention here, but Ngwati, Stellenbosch municipality has been a big supporter, as well as the city of Cape Town. So thank you, Mayor, to you and your colleagues for supporting the initiative here. But the conveyancers and other many people who make this project possible, I think, deserve a special mention as well. So I just wanted to extend a very special thanks to everybody at the FW de Klerk Foundation. I think you are carrying forward the late President's legacy very ably and contributing very much to the promotion of the rule of law and constitutional democracy in this country. I think it's very important that civil society organizations such as yourselves, such as the Free Market Foundation, use their voice to promote change and freedom in South Africa. There's still a lot of unfinished business, but it's definitely an exciting place to be. So thank you very much.